Now, I'd hate to do a DuckTales on a fighter that I respect and one of my favorite fighters in the game. A dude who I think can beat everybody who they put in front of him. A guy who's like 36 and 0. You know, a guy who's number one pound for pound on the planet, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But when I said it, even around the fight between when Bud Crawford fought what was his last fight against Kavalauskas. When I talked about boxers in the game and they stock dropping, the man Bud Crawford is a prime recipient and a candidate for stock for a man who's stock dropping. You know what I mean? You know, look, but Bud Crawford hasn't lost a fight since he was number one pound for pound on the Ring Magazine rankings. He ain't number one no more. You know what I mean? I personally think he's the best, but he's not anymore. I think he's now like number four. How does that happen? Your stock is dropping. Now, according to Steve Kim, he sent out a tweet and he said 2 days ago, says that Sean Porter's father, Kenny Porter, says they've received a green light from the PBC to start negotiations for Terrance Crawford for a fight. You know what I'm saying? And this was from Steve Kim. You know what I mean? Um, this was, let me read some more quotes. Quote, so I just spoke to Kenny Porter. He says his side has given him the green light to try and make a deal for a fight with Terrence Crawford. So that's the first step right there. End quote. And that's the man, Steve Kim on ESPN. You know what I mean? All right. Now, Sean Porter wants this fight bad. You know what I mean? Kenny Porter, that's all they've been talking about, trying to get a Terrence Crawford fight. And they're willing to go over to ESPN. Okay? You know what I'm saying? The PBC guy, all I hear on these YouTube streets from a particular sect or faction out here on these YouTube streets is all I do is hear him hating on PBC. And all I hear him is, and they do watch PBC fights. And then they come back, do their post-fight reviews talking about how great of a fight it is. You know what I mean? They don't make sense. If you think PBC is garbage or they bad for boxing, why even support it? You know what I mean? You might as well just put your big boy pants on and boycott them straight up and down. You know what I mean? That's the best thing you can do for yourself. If you're gonna front on PBC, but then again come back and say like PBC got the best fights in boxing for 2019, the most candidates for fight of the year, etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? But this guy, Terrence Crawford, is not interested in fighting Sean Porter. You know what I mean? I'm gonna read you some quotes from what this man Bud Crawford said, man. Quote: That's not a fight that I'm focused on right now or even worried about. I'm focused on other things right now. If we had to fight and it made sense, then that would be a fight that we would both agree upon. But right now, I feel like that's not something we should discuss right now because there's nothing on the table for me. End quote. You heard the man, man. You heard what Terrence Crawford said, you know what I mean? That ain't what you want to hear because Sean Porter's going to be the best name on your resume, straight up and down. You know what I mean? Talent wise, as far as a guy who was the best, a pound for pound standout, and a guy who was a unified champion, the best fighter on Bud Crawford's resume is Yuriokis Gamboa. If Yuriokis Gamboa and Sean Porter were the same height, in prime for prime, I would pick Gamboa to beat Sean Porter, you know what I mean? But that was a long time ago now. We talking about in 2014, you know what I'm saying? We talking about in 2014. And with the man, what's his name? Bud Crawford now talking about he's not interested in this fight with the man, what's his name? Sean Porter. It's very disappointing news, because for the most part, the I don't know, these people on these YouTube streets, they talk about the PBC don't involve themselves in with the WBO. Well, that was what Sean Porter would be crossing over to ESPN to go do, go fight for a WBO world title. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that this guy Terrence Crawford, man, is talking about he's not interested. So who you interested in fighting then? You know what I'm saying? Now look, if he's not gonna fight Sean Porter and he fights a guy maybe like Keith Thurman or Manny Pacquiao, then I'll have no complaints one bit. You know what I'm saying? But the guy said it himself right there. I read the quotes, man. They're not interested in the man, Sean Porter. You know what I mean? I don't get it, you know. But I heard Bob Arum talking about, you know, the candidates. There's a lot of fighters out there for Bud to fight, and he's talking about the Jose Ramirez's and the Regis Prograis and these type of guys. You know what I mean? Josh Taylor, guys moving up in weight. Now those are great fights, no question about it. But I would rather those fights for Bud Crawford if he stayed at 140. What's the point of fighting these guys or waiting around for these guys to move up in weight when really and truly there's great welterweights for him to fight at his weight class that he's campaigning at 147. You know what I mean? You check it. And Sean Porter and them, they interested, man. Kenny Porter and them, they want this fight. You know what I mean? This fight might be a bad matchup style for the man, Terrance Crawford. Why should Errol Spence have to go through hell and back fighting the man Sean Porter? You know what I mean? Why? Why shouldn't the man Terrence Crawford even want to challenge himself with a guy coming off a loss? I'm not understanding this guy's logic and his motivation, you know what I'm saying? But really and truly, it's not a good look, man. And you know me, B Marsh Boxing, I don't care if I like a fighter. If I sense a guy is ducking, then yo, you gotta flame him up, man. You gotta put him on the hot seat, you know what I mean? The guy said he's not interested on fighting the man Sean Porter. Sean Porter and them have been given the green light. Read that on numerous articles, you know what I'm saying? And Steve Kim, you know, he's a reputable a journalist in the boxing world. He is a cornball, no question about it. I don't like none of these guys from the Dougie Fishers to what's the guy's name? To Dan Raphael and all these guys. These guys are biased, you know what I'm saying? They bad. They really bad. But Steve Kim is, like I said, a reputable boxing insider, and Kenny Porter and them, they want this fight bad. They see something in Bud that they want to exploit, and they're not going to get the opportunity unless they get in the ring. You know what I mean? You know, they might think one thing or the other about how they perceive Terrence Crawford and what they might be able to do with him in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Especially with Porter being a rough and rugged inside type of fighter. You know what I mean? You check it? And really and truly, that could be a bad matchup style for the man Terrence Crawford. It was a bad matchup style for the man Errol Spence, but Errol Spence had to dig deep, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, he scrapped out of that fight, you know what I mean? I thought he clearly won the fight. I didn't see Sean Porter winning that fight at all, or even no, he didn't win that fight. So I know what happens here. You know, people just hate on Errol Spence and on PBC guys, so they want to say the guy lost. I'm not like that. I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean? How can I say that the guy lost when I had it like 7-5 on my scorecard with a knockdown? You know what I mean? It wasn't Errol Spence on the canvas. People tend to forget about that. You know what I'm saying? You check it just like, you know, that's for a whole nother video, you know what I mean? But Terrence Crawford has been fighting a whole lot of garbage opponents, you know what I'm saying? You know, especially lately, man, fighting guys like Jeff Horn. You know, look, Jeff Horn is a guy. Hey, man, I didn't think he beat Manny Pacquiao. I think that whole situation was rigged from Bob Arum sending Pacquiao out there to rob him, to get him robbed on the Australian soil. It was very dubious. This guy Jeff Horn, after he won the fight, he had a paper he was reading from, like on his post-fight interview. Like that shit was planned even before they announced, and they knew you could see like them fellas celebrating already, and also the WBO president already walking over to Jeff Horn to hand him that WBO belt. There was something very fishy about that situation, and you can't tell me nothing different. Bob Arum, he himself said he's the one who killed the fight between Terrence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao says he wanted to fight. I know Freddie Roach and them weren't really too keen on taking that fight, you know what I'm saying, to fight Bud Crawford. Pacquiao, when he came over to beat PBC, said Bob Arum's lying. But then again, Bob Arum said it out his mouth. He said he killed that fight, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, Jeff Horn really should not have been a player. You know what I'm saying? I give Bud credit 100% for beating Jeff Horn, because that's the guy who had the belt. If you wanted to be a player in the F147 division, he had to get himself a strap like Errol Spence told him to do, but Errol Spence also still don't want to fight the guy. You know what I'm saying? Even when Bud Crawford got a belt. So a lot of these boxers, they all on some BS. But at the end of the day, all those people be talking ish about the PBC. You see, the PBC consolidated and were given the green light by the PBC's head honchos for Terrance Crawford. I'm sorry, Sean Porter and Kenny Porter to go over there and try and negotiate with the man Terrance Crawford. But as of right now, Terrance Crawford hasn't returned any calls, and Top Rank haven't returned any calls from the man. What's his name? What's his name? They haven't received any calls from Bob Arum, Top Rank, and Terrance Crawford. You know what I mean? So this is not a good look one bit. You know what I'm saying? I'm highly disappointed because, like I said, man, Bud Crawford is a dude, man. I couldn't wait for his coming out party. This is a guy I've been watching since he debuted on American TV. You know what I'm saying? He was a late minute replacement. I forgot the guy he fought. I think it was what's that guy's name? The guy who knocked out Amir Khan, the Colombian. Not Breedis. Brandon Prescott, you know what I'm saying? It was Prescott, you know what I mean? And that's when the guy Bud Crawford came up to 140 pounds to fight a big, that's a late minute replacement to fight a big Prescott. And he starched him, beat the heck up out of him. And I've been watching him ever since. And I've seen his ascension. And I knew this guy will be a pound for pound standout, no question. But when you're talking about you're not interested in fighting Sean Porter and if it makes sense, all this type of BS, when Sean Porter will by far be your biggest test of your career at this stage right now. Sure, Gamboa is the best name on your resume, but that was at 135, and Gamboa was best at featherweight at 126. You know what I'm saying? Sean Porter is a big, strong dude at 147. Guy who's campaigned there his whole career, as far as since he was his first world title in December 2013 versus Sean Porter versus Devin Alexander, an absolute mugging. You know what I mean? So, hey man, no matter if I like you, you're gonna have to get that work, Sean Porter. What's his name? Bud Crawford. Let me read the chat one time. What y'all saying in the chat? G Colors, why you retract your message, man? It says message retracted. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna keep it tall with y'all. When I see somebody retract a message, I feel like maybe they wrote something inappropriate in the comment section. You know what I mean? That's just what I feel. If you have to retract it, because you know, if it's just boxing talk, you can't say anything that egregious where you're gonna have to retract your message. But that's neither here nor there. Let's keep it moving. Burgess Meredith, what's up, dogs? He's in the chat. He says good points, B. Thank you, sir. Big up, big up. G Collins says, personally, I like the World Boxing Super Series in 2019 and can't wait to see what's next for them. Absolutely. But you'll never see a welterweight 147 World Boxing Super Series. And if you do, you're only going to see guys like Ugas, uh, guys who are not the top tier. And Ugas is a very good fighter. You know what I mean? What's that guy's name? Louis Calazzo, etc., etc. Burgess Meredith says Porter has excellent foot speed. Absolutely, man. The guy works on his foot speed like a running back should, and that's what he played high school football as a running back. Got quick feet. Burgess Meredith says a physical infight with Porter is a very hard matchup for Crawford. Absolutely. Crawford wants to be the counterpuncher, want to fight from mid-range. The man Sean Porter is going to take all that out the window. You know what I mean? Gonna make it a very difficult fight for him on the inside. G. Collins says, if at the end of 2020 we still haven't seen Wilder or AJ or Spence Crawford, I'll be pissed. Don't hold your breath, my guy. Don't do it. Burgess Meredith says Crawford could lose that fight. Absolutely. Maybe that's why Top Rank is a little shook right now, because they seeing how confident this guy, Kenny Porter and Sean Porter, are to take that fight. You know what I mean? They weren't that confident going into the Errol Spence fight. For over a year, he had been ducking Errol Spence. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, oh, G. Collins says bad spelling, bro. Okay, it's all good, man. No doubt about it. But yeah, man, B March Boxing, I'm about to seal the deal on this video. Bud Crawford, see, I got other duck for other fighters, you know what I'm saying? And look, man, it's not that I don't like these fighters, but these guys are forcing my hand, you know what I mean? I don't like to do these type of videos because I want to see everybody take on the best challenges that there are out there for boxing. But when the man Bud Crawford is ducking this guy, Shawn Porter, you know what I'm saying? He better be ducking him to fight a much, much better opponent. You know what I mean? B Marsh Boxing, thanks for everybody coming through. Big ups to G Colors, Burgess Meredith, everybody in the chat. Salute to all y'all, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. And if you're new to the channel, please share and subscribe. I'm gone. Peace.